are a delegation of Parliament that has been seized with this task as the ad hoc committee on flood disaster relief and recovery. We do have the MEC here, the relevant officials from the district. It has been brought to our attention that the council is in session dealing with a very important bill that they are passing. So we're not going to be disturbing council. And we do have the district officials here. We're in Msunduzi local municipality, in Umgungundlovu district municipality. So for us to be able to have a better sense, because we are in Umgungundlovu district municipality, so we'll be getting the presentation from Umgungundlovu, the district, so that we understand what is happening in this district. I can highlight to the district officials that already we have visited a number of district municipality, King Cetwayo district municipality, Ugu district municipality, Elembe district municipality, eThekwini, and now we are here. So what we'll do, without wasting much time, the purpose of us being here is to have a better assessment of the situation and the assistance provided to the people on the ground, and of course the challenges, so that we can be part of solutions when we have our own deliberations as an ad hoc committee to come with clear recommendations. We are mindful that the national has declared this national disaster, and we are not just coming here once we leave, want to create more problems. But sometimes there are people that make the confusion about our role, because we have the local government, provincial government, and the national one. So our core business is mainly just three things. It's oversight, it's public participation, and lawmaking. And of course, when we pass budget and when there are some pronouncements made by national ministers, and sometimes it creates problems when we are not able to follow what they have made as commitment, so that we see to finish that they indeed they are able to do the necessary delivery on the ground, so that the other spheres of government are benefiting. We'll just allow MEC Hlomuga, MEC of Kota, that will just do the remarks, and then the relevant official, we have the head of disaster that is here, that will take us through in terms of the district, and then honorable members will be noting what might be clarity seeking questions. I will be unfair not to commend you for your conduct since we came to KZN. I mean, some of us, we don't take it for granted when you have members of parliament starting on a Friday, working throughout the weekend, and not even getting an hour to say now we're going to relax until very late hours. And we are happy, MEC, to report that we are still safe and intact, even though there's something that happened yesterday when on our way back. But for that reason, no one was injured out of that accident. So, but we commend you members for the level of commitment, and up to this far, we're not just taking it for granted that it's a matter of people that are leaders in their own right.
Hlomoka, MEC of COGTA, to do the opening remarks, and then we'll take it from there.
Thank you very much, Chair. Greeting to your good self, both chairs. Greetings to all honorable members present here. We, Chair of Provincial COGTA portfolio, officials from Parliament and officials from provincial government led by the DDG and officials from the municipality who are part of this meeting. Chair, thank you again. Maybe let me start by saying sorry about what happened yesterday. We did receive the community care, but we are thankful that no one was hurt. We must thank God that we are still alive, but also appreciate the commitment by the honorable members from the ad hoc committee, because some of them, they might say, no, I think I'm still suffering from the trauma of yesterday, and I don't think I will able to discharge my duties today. We really appreciate that, because you are continuing to play an oversight as a committee appointed by the Parliament. Having said that, Chair, I really don't know what to say. I'm just asking the head of ministry here to say,
Okay. At least now sengizwa sengingconywana. At least we're joined by Mayor of the district, Mayor Ngamalala, Uzuma, Msholozi. I want to formally send apology for a mayor of Umsunduz in this local municipality. They are having their full council today, and they have to pass the budget. That's why they are not here. I think I must deposit that apology, including the municipal manager or the officials. I think they are attending on that matter, because it's one of the critical matter that the council must deal with it. I'm told, Chair, that the other local mayors, there was no formal invite because that's what I'm told, that the invite was sent direct by the secretariat of the ad hoc committee. I'm not sure. That's why I just wanted to raise here so that we clarify if it's true, so that tomorrow won't be blamed why other mayors. I thought all of them, they will be here, like what happened at Ogu. I think it's important that I raise that. Then, Chair, I will be guided by you. We did submit that detailed report that I uploaded yesterday, even though we did not present it in details. I hope that all honorable members, they do have the report in their position. Now it's up to the chair if the meeting want us to go in details in presenting that report, which covered the whole province, not only Umgungundlovu. Remember yesterday we only presented Ogu, and there were comments from honorable members, of which some of the comments were genuine, to say why we are not giving the picture of the province while we presented that report of Oko district. They, not sure the mayor, but there is a head of community services who also had, not had the disaster management section or portfolios under him. He's the one that was tasked to present a Umgungundlovu district a report. However, the mayor is here. I must also apologize that the mayor have just joined now. I called him because there was a decision that the speaker of the district is the one that's going to attend. Now, when I came here, I saw there was no even councillor, then I had to call and ask him to cancel everything. It's not that he is undermining this meeting by joining late. He had to adjourn the other schedule a program that he had, and then join this meeting. I think, Chair, we do have a report if you want us to, just to minimize, if you want us to go to the provincial report, we can do so. Or you want this August House to only focus on the Umgungundlovu. I think we will wait for your guidance. Thank you.
Thank you, MEC. Thanks once again for making our task to be much more simple. And one thing that is good is that once we are together and we understand what is required of us, it will minimize the unnecessary confusion and tension that can be avoided. And today, thanks that the presentation in terms of the province is fine, we have it, but today we want to focus in this area. And on our side, as we indicated yesterday, when we go to a municipality, of course, sometimes it's an issue that we'll work on. It's not a problem to have all the others coming in, but if they are not, because it's not a closed meeting, but we don't want just to have them coming in only to find that we're not going to be able to go to their areas as if we just want them to come and observe, and that is not the intention. But now you are welcome, Ngamalala. We are happy you are here as a mayor of the district. And MEC, your presence, as we have agreed as a committee, every time when we are dealing with whatever that might be presented by, whether it's an official, it's always good to have a political principle. And in this case, that is why it's simple for us to have the leader of disaster presenting, because we do have political principles with us. But I won't deprive Ngamalala an opportunity to say a word or two about his district before we can get straight to the presentation from the officials. Ngamalala.
Thank you very much, Chair. And let's extend our greetings to the leadership of the Portfolio Committee, the MEC, and all the members who are part of this particular meeting. Firstly, maybe we need to indicate that as MEC had indicated, we had assigned the speaker to be part of this meeting, and there have been challenges that caused her not to be here. We humbly apologize. But we want to indicate that the recent floods affected our district, which has 7 local municipalities. We have Umshwati, Umgeni, Mbofana, Mbendle, Msunduzi, where we are. Mkambatini as well as Richmond. So all these municipalities were affected, although in various degrees. Households were affected, structures collapsed in some of the households. Some were partially damaged due to the floods, but to a lesser degree also, but the infrastructure was also affected, but not to the extent that you would have seen, for instance, at eThekwini. But more so it was in the main road infrastructure that was badly affected, but water and electricity infrastructure not that bad, but we were also affected. And the reports that you may have escalated to a national level will indicate the degree to which we were affected. But we must indicate that with regards to the immediate relief that people needed to get after the disasters, we moved quite swiftly. When I'm saying we moved, I'm saying all spheres of government, us as local government assisted by the province, we moved with speed with regards to ensuring that immediate relief could be given to our people. That is in the form of food, it could be blankets, it could be mattresses, but also those who were displaced. Initially, we had 4 shelters in the districts. 2 were here at Umsunduzi, and 2 were at Mkambatini. There were 4 in all initially. But 3 of those shelters were quickly decommissioned because people reintegrated back to communities and moved in with either neighbors or relatives or friends. And we currently remain with only 1 shelter, which is Truro Hall, which is in this municipality. There are 29 people in that shelter. There are 6 families. We, together with the Department of Human Settlement and the municipality here, the municipality has identified an alternative land parcel where those people will be relocated. The Department of Human Settlement has also appointed a contractor to build the temporary residential units for those particular families. And currently, there is just a social facilitation process that is underway so that particular program, project kicks in so that those people can be moved and that particular shelter be decommissioned, so to speak. So we are therefore saying we are seeing a response, particularly from the provincial sector departments, human settlements, in particular around the interventions that relates to that particular department. But a lot of work around road infrastructure still needs to happen. And I understand that as part of the visit today, a road with a sinkhole will be visited, which was also affected by these particular floods. So we're saying, in as much as the extent of damages could not be compared to eThekwini, but to an extent, we must indicate that we were affected, and the reports that we have submitted indicate in detail the nature of damages and the actual costs that are involved in terms of the rehabilitation program that may need to ensue. We must also indicate that as part of the assessment of the damages, there there was a deployment of engineers to assist with the actual costing of the damages that we actually experienced. So by and large, what is encapsulated in our reports as costs would be, to an extent, be supported by the assessments that were done by engineers to corroborate the extent of those damages as well as the cost concerned. So I would like just maybe to put it at that level. Mr. Mutwa can then give some of the details in terms of the actual numbers and all of that across municipalities. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Babzum. Mr. Mutwa?
Chair, sorry, good morning.
Oh, Honorable Mangu.
There is some smell that keeps on coming of something like it's burning. Maybe while the presentation is going, we can get assurance that there's nothing serious. It's not permanent, but you smell it and then it disappears. It's like an electric, you know, when a wire is burning or a plug, something to that effect. Thanks, Chair. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's very important what you are raising, Honorable Mangu. We're fortunate we do have technical people, and Ubabu Zuma said there are some even Ubabu Mota. Can you disperse your relevant people to attend to it? Because Ubabu Zuma might be smelling some other things and said it's fire. But relevant, no, that was on a lighter note. But Mota, the Ubabu Zuma has made it simple. He has just highlighted some of these key issues. For you, it's just to zoom into those details that are missing so that you just fill the gaps. I'm happy it's not me who's saying it, it's you, Mayor. So, members of parliament, they know fire. So it's simple for them to have that sense.
Greeting to honorable chairpersons, members of parliament, leadership present, honorable MEC, Ubaba Hlomuga, honorable Ubaba Umeya, Ubaba Ngamalala from Umgungundlovu District Municipality, honorable leadership from Umsunduzi local municipality and other local municipalities present, official, HOD present, and colleagues and member of communities. As it has been indicated by Ubaba, Honorable Mayor, that law presentayo, Dr. Mutwa from Umgungundlovu District Municipality. Honorable Chairperson, maybe one need to indicate that we did receive an invite from PDMC with regard to this gathering. Maybe one is not going to waste time, but I think it is proper for us just to give a background that after receiving a warning from SARS, then after that we had to convene our JOC so that now we are well prepared. But I'll just go straight to our presentation. Maybe one need to indicate that our presentation is going to cover all local municipalities under UMDM, starting with Umsunduzi, Umgeni, Bofana, Impendle, Umshwati, Mkambatini, and Richmond. Therefore, Honorable Chairperson, you'll see that during our presentation that all these municipalities are covered. Mr. Chairperson, if you look at our dams within the area of jurisdiction, you can see that there are 5 dams, but as you can see from our presentation that all 5 are beyond their capacity. Beyond its capacity, as you can see there by the Moe River, it's 123%, and Spring Grove Dam, which is Rosette, is 102% full. Minmat Dam is 101% full. Henley Dam is 109, and Albert Falls Dam is 104 as we speak. As I've clearly indicated, Mr. Chairperson, that it is one of our mandate as UMDM to ensure that we develop plans that will be able to deal with whatever situation that might come on our way. As UMDM, we always do that with an assistance of our locals. Maybe it is important for one to indicate that as UMDM and local municipalities also we get assisted by our provincial departments as well as our, the NGOs, other departments like also people like National Lottery also and so on. If let me say for example it happens that there are disasters that we are faced with, then it is important for one to mention that it is not only us as district municipality and local municipalities who normally respond to these disasters, but we get assisted by these people that I've already mentioned above. I'll quickly zoom to the incident statistics of May. As you can see, Honorable Chairperson, that in May, under Umshwati, there were about 36 households that were affected. And then in that incident, there were about 200 people that were affected. The number of injuries, as you can see here, they are 0. But when you talk about the houses that were totally destroyed, there were about 20. And then the ones that were partially destroyed were 39. Under Umsunduzi, people that were affected were about 139. But I'm talking about the incident of May alone. I'm still going to go to that incident that took place in April. If you go to Umgeni, you can see that people that were affected, about 169, and households that were affected, about 34. Under Mkambatini, there are about 102 households that were affected, and people that were affected were about 605. And the total in that incident is about 1,106 people that were affected, and households that were affected in total were about 171. If we go to Umshwati now, we'll be able to see that as Umgungu of district municipality and its family of municipalities, then we had to assist those communities that were affected by ensuring that we just assist them with disaster emergency reliefs. As you can see here, Honorable Chairperson, that we had to assist Umshwati with 10 blankets, and Umgeni with 71 blankets, and Umsunduzi with 21 blankets, and Mkambatini with 30 blankets. And in total, there were about 132 blankets that were issued to those people that were affected. And then also, as you can see here, Honorable Chairperson, that we had also to assist with food parcels, with the assistance of SASA and social development, and also other NGOs that works with us as UMDM. This is the picture, Honorable Chairperson, of one house that was completely damaged in March 8 at Umgeni, there by Howick, that place that is called KwaZulu. This was actually the incident that took place during the month of March. As you can see also in this picture, Honorable Chairperson, this was also another house that was also completely damaged, the Gwahaza, under our Umgeni local municipality as well. Now, as I I did indicate earlier on, Mr. Chairperson, that maybe one will then go straight to that incident that took place in April. Now, these are the incidents actually that also we had to attend in the month of April that affected number of people. This is the statistics of April. As you can see, that was the single incident, Honorable Chairperson, that affected number of people and also number of households. If you go to Mshwati, during that month of April, you can see that the households that were affected were about 73, and in Pofana was about 313, and Umgeni and Umsunduzi, the total there was 220 households that were affected. If you go to Impendle, we can see that 91 households that were affected, and under Mkambatini, there were about 128. Fortunately enough, under Richmond, there were about 46 houses that were affected, households that were affected. I think it is important for one just also to indicate that there is a difference between the household and the house. When you talk about the household, as we all are aware that we are talking about the houses that are in one, actually that falls under one family. That's where now we are talking about the households. But now this incident has affected a number of households. If you go down, Mr. Chairperson, with an assistance of Department of Human Settlement, as you all are aware that Department of Human Settlement is always there for us if there are incidents. We can see there at our, under Umsunduzi that now there is something that is taking place, there is something that is going on under the construction of the TRUs. These TRUs, that are temporary residential units, since we all know that other people, Honorable Chairperson, after these incidents, then they become homeless. Therefore, now it is important for us to make sure that now they are provided with something that they are going to use as a shelter, in a form of a shelter. Hence, human settlement then play its role by ensuring that now these TRUs are provided. As clearly indicated, that number of households that were affected under Msunduzi, the area, perhaps maybe one need to mention that the area under Msunduzi that were affected was Sobantu, Vulindlela, Willowfontein, Kwapata, Matribiza, Kotonville, Nago Tambuza, Nago Peaceville, Nago Nkululeko, Nago Mpumuza. And the ward that is called the Ward 35 and Ward 39. And the total number of houses that were totally destroyed, they were about 66, Honorable Chair, and then the one that were partially destroyed were about 186. But then after that, the assessment and verification was done by the Department of Human Settlement with assistance of Umsunduzi officials, as well as councillors from Umsunduzi, and then UMDM. If you go straight to Impofana, we can see that Impofana, it's one of our local municipalities with 5 wards. However, as we can see from this presentation, that all our wards were affected. Under Impofana, all our wards were affected. As we can see, Honorable Chairperson, that Ward 1, Ward 2, Ward 3, Ward 4, Ward 5, they were affected. And then the number of households that were affected under Impofana, in total, there were about 187. And the one that were totally destroyed, they were about 35, and the number of partially destroyed, that they were about 352. I think one needs also to mention, Honorable Chairperson, that with an assistance of human settlement, then also at Impofana, then there is something that is happening with regard to these TRUs, and then the verification and assessment also was concluded, and then surely maybe by the end of June, there will be also TRUs at Impofana. Then after that, I'll go straight to Richmond. As you can see that under Richmond, there are a number of wards that were also affected. And then if you look at the number of households that were affected, they were about 18. Number of total destroyed, they were about 7. And then the one that were partially destroyed, Honorable Chairperson, are 15. And then the assessment is also currently underway, because as you all are aware that if, let me say, for example, houses are affected, then it is important for locals and UMDM also to attend to those incidents. And also at the same time, then the human settlement will have to go there to do the verification. And then now the assessment, as mentioned, it is currently underway. If you go to Umgeni, under Umgeni, Honorable Chairperson, there's Ward 4, Ward 1, Ward 8, Ward 9, and Ward 18 also were affected, and then total number of houses that were affected, Mr. Chairperson, there are about 222. And then out of these 222, we can see that 14 of them were totally destroyed, and then 203 were partially destroyed. And then also we had to do the same as well at Umgeni local municipality. And we go straight to Mshwati. Under Mshwati, you can see, Honorable Chairperson, that there are 6 wards that were affected during this incident of April. And then if you can see the total number of households that were affected, there are about 75. And then the one that were totally destroyed were 12, and the partially destroyed were 78. And then also there is that expectation that our department, which is the Department of Women's Settlement, will be able to assist them. Under Mkambatini, there are about 7 wards that were affected. As we can see here, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable MEC, that are about 129 households that were affected, and then the one that were totally destroyed, there were about 88, and 102 that were partially destroyed. If you go to Impendle, Honorable Chairperson, at Impendle, there are about 5 wards. Out of that 5 wards at Impendle, you can see that 4 of them were affected, and then about 92 households that were totally, there were about 92 households that were affected, and 44 of them were totally destroyed, and 74 were partially destroyed, and then also we had to follow suit as well at Impendle. As I did indicate earlier on, Honorable Chairperson, that we work with other departments as well. As we can see here, this is the stats from the Department of Transport, where it is clear that within the UMDM area of jurisdiction, then there is something that is taking place. Then now if you look at KZ 2221, under that road D216, D1620, there is something that is currently happening. If you look at KZ 222 as well, if you look at that Provincial Road 526, P141, and then also that one is going to be dealt with by our department, which is the Department of Transport. And then if you go down to KZ 223, KZ 224, KZ 225, and also there is something that is going to be done. And then there is an MOU that has been signed by Department of Transport and SARAL, where it is clear that there are about 76 projects that are going to be done by SARAL, and then also the cost of those projects that are going to be done by SARAL, as we can see from the presentation, Honorable Chair, is 293,157,500, and then this has been confirmed. This is the number of roads that actually are going to be dealt with by the Department of Transport, which is 164, and then also SARAL, as I did indicate earlier on, there are about 76. I'll just quickly zoom to the information now from Umsunduzi, local municipality. Mr. Chairperson, as you can see there, under Umsunduzi municipality, there by ERF 3835, no deal. Has been selected for the relocation of 7 families whose houses were totally damaged during the disaster. Natal is not far from us, Honorable Chairperson, is right here. It's about 8 to 10 minutes drive from here. While we are still under Umsunduzi as well, you can see, Honorable Chairperson, that realm of portion 3 of ERF 161 has been also selected for relocation of 13 families whose houses were also totally damaged during this disaster. We are still under Umsunduzi as well, Mr. Chairperson. We can see that ERF 10,000 as well, they were affected, and also their houses were also totally damaged during this disaster, and then 2 families were relocated. We are still under Umsunduzi. As we can see under Umsunduzi, that the Umsunduzi Human Settlement Unit was also informed of more houses that are completely destroyed in Ward 28. Therefore now, in addition to the state that has been presented, then after that we have received the information that also confirming that there are also other houses that were totally destroyed in that ward, which is Ward 28, Honorable Chairperson. Okay, under Umsunduzi then, we have also received report from the Electricity Department that their electricity supply services floods related power outage have been resolved, and then now I think all in order, and I think that can be confirmed by the head of department, Ubabumate, who's here from Umsunduzi. While we are also still under Umsunduzi, the repairs of potholes in various areas that were affected by storms in the LCBD and northern areas has also commenced. Therefore, there is something that is happening as we are here, Honorable Chairperson. We are still under Umsunduzi, under the infrastructure that was damaged. There were 4 more, major road damages. The plan is to undertake temporary repairs and make the road safe and accessible for motorists and pedestrians. The internal resources will be utilized for temporary repairs, Honorable Chairperson. We are still under Msunduzi, under water and sanitation. DWS have visited all the sites affected by the floods. Their engineers have determined that only certain sewer pump stations can be finished with new pumps as a result of the floods. As we can see from this presentation, Honorable Chairperson, that we had also to get the engineers just to assist when then actually this assessment was done. These are the peaks of Msunduzi pump stations. As we can see here, there are about 4 gentlemen that are just standing in front of those power stations there, pump stations there. Msunduzi damaged water and sewer pipes crossings, 3 sewer pipes crossing across streams were damaged by the floods. 1 was repaired by Msunduzi staff, but 2 remain unrepaired due to the length of the pipe affected and the fact that there must be concrete incasts there. Honorable Chairperson, I think also in that one need to indicate that Msunduzi had to also make sure that they reprioritize their budget in order for them to deal with the situation. But as we go along also, I think Ubamati will be able to also to emphasize if there are also further questions. These are the peaks just also indicating and showing us what was happening during this disaster, Honorable Chairperson. As you can see that our pipes were totally destroyed, damaged, and you can see that also our rivers were affected. This is the progress with the restoration of services under UMDM. The following infrastructure was affected by floods and affected water supply to the community. At Mpofana, raw water abstraction, the problem raw water abstraction pumps were flooded. And then as a result of that, it is important for one to indicate that at Mpofana, they could not get water. However, UMDM had to actually make a plan to make sure that there were water tanks delivering water to that area. And also cited in Polwe Net Mshwat under LM, the damaged pipe river crossing and the progress there affected communities supplied via water tankers as well. And then if you go to Kambatini, there was also a pipeline across the river at D97, and then also water tankers are currently used as a way of assisting the community. If you look at the progress with the restoration of services, the pictures below show water tank providing water to community members, water tank at the collection point and under both local municipalities, which is in Mpofana and Richmond, Mr. Chairperson. Distribution of 35 JoJo tanks received from KwaZulu. Maybe one need to mention that we did receive donation from KwaZulu of 35 JoJos, and then now this is the way that in actual fact where as UMDM decided to distribute these JoJo tanks, as you can see there under Umgeni and under Umkambatini. That's where these JoJo tanks were in actual fact erected. If you look at Umkambatini as well, we had also to supply them with number of JoJo tanks in Richmond and Mpofana and in Bentley. That means the total of JoJo tanks that were supplied to our locals were 35. Under UMDM, water and sanitation infrastructure, status of reprioritization, as we will all, I think Honorable Chairperson and Honorable MEC will recall that we, as UMDM, we were requested to make sure that we reprioritize our budget. Hence now, in actual fact, we have done that, and we then realized that in actual fact for UMDM, in order to go back where it was, therefore now we need about 119,574,000 in order for us to go back where we were. Okay, that's still under UMDM, water and sanitation infrastructure, status of reprioritization. As I did indicate that looking at our budget, then we had to do something, although then I think it is important for one to mention that we still need an assistance from provincial and national government so that we can be able to deal with our situation. We are still under UMDM, water and sanitation. If you can see the projects under Ekamanzi reticulation scheme, which is part of reticulation affected by recent storms and infrastructure, you can see the amount there, the cost, which our immediate intervention is about 1,937,658, and then if you also go down to other places there, like Moyo River, you can see that we need about 23 million, Honorable Chairperson. Progress with restoration of services in status of representation of Umgeni local municipalities. Also, we are looking at about estimated additional funding required. You can see 48,107. That is the amount that we need under Umgeni local municipality alone, Honorable Chairperson. And then as you can see, that also, yeah, we are just looking at about 86. This is also a reprioritization under Impende local municipality, which is one of our local municipality, Honorable Chairperson, where we are talking about 12 million, that LEM alone. And then also, this is also under this reprioritization, also we are talking about another 12 million here. I think I'm done, Honorable Chairperson. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the detailed presentation. It's definitely in line with our expectations. We are welcome, MM, as the MM of the district. We are welcome, Honorable Pungane Hadebe, standing in for Honorable Hlengo. So this is the team. Honorable members, you'll introduce yourself as and when you ask your question, some clarity-seeking question. Number one will be Honorable Todovu, Honorable Dutoit, Honorable Sheikh, Honorable Esoma, Honorable Kigaba. Then it will be the second round. Sorry, before yourself to do, Honorable MEC, if there's some other stuff.
I'm sorry to interrupt your program. Before all members in their report, it appeared that under fatality, there's only one fatality that is reported. In the report that we submitted, it's a report for fatalities. Then I want to clarify that the other three, they pass on at Tilwing, but they reside here as this one, I think I want to clarify that that's why you see one here, but in the report, on the attachment of the whole 449 people who pass on, you will see we have. I think I just want to clarify that matter.
Thank you, Honorable MEC, for that clarification. Honorable Toto.
Okay, thank you very much. Honorable Chair, as you said, my name is China Dodovu. I'm from the Northwest Province. I serve in the NCOP. Chair, this is a very detailed report, high-level detailed report that is very, very, very clear in terms of us getting an understanding on how the district, together with other spheres, responded to the crisis. I'm very much moved in the way that the district is doing its work to ensure that the lives of people are saved, the livelihood, the infrastructure, and how everything else, all the components are coordinated. And thank you very much for that. I get a sense about how the district has responded. I would like to have this copy so that I use it as a way of reporting when I'm facing a crisis of this nature, and I hope that others can also learn from that. Thank you very much for that. Just two questions. One, what is the impact of the DDM, the district development model? Because just looking at this report, it gave me a sense that if we were to attend all of our problems and issues using the DDM model and coordinating everything else, including the external stakeholders, this will be very, very much helpful. But secondly, Honorable Chair, what is the view of the community in terms of your work? Are they satisfied? Are they happy? And please share with us some of the sticky problems that we are still dealing with that are outstanding in this particular instance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Duto. Honorable Dutoit.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you for the presentation. Honorable Chair, I'd like to know, yesterday we touched on the matter and the day before as well, the cost of the TRUs that is being erected. What is the cost per unit? Because there's a ceiling level of 68,000 rand that was mentioned in previous presentations that we received, but that's a ceiling amount. Do you work on a case-by-case basis, or does the contractor get the ceiling amount, the full 68,000 rand? And then with regards to the people that are relocated to other areas, since where their houses were, it's not suitable, how far was it from their original residences? Are they being moved to a totally new area? Because one must keep in mind places of work, children attending school, all of that. If we could get clarity with regards to that, please. And then I saw in the presentation you mentioned that NGOs and other entities are also assisting with regards to help. The lottery was only mentioned with assistance of providing JoJo tanks. Are there any other initiatives where they also provide assistance? And there was a last question that I wanted to know. With regards to all the houses that needs to be replaced by means of the TRU initiative, one of the slides indicated 88 houses completely destroyed, but only 4 slabs has been put up to now. When do you anticipate to have all the identified houses replaced that needs replacing? What amount of time will be needed for that? And lastly, Chair, with regards to the SANDF, are there any assistance from SANDF in this municipal area? If yes, to what extent? Because my understanding is that they come with expertise and with trucks and manpower, and not with funds and building material to actually build bridges and repair roads. If more information could be given on that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Dutoit. Honorable Sheikh.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And let me also join colleagues, especially Honorable Tidogo, with regard to the presentations. I think that they were pretty detailed and very enlightening. I think it gives us good information, Chair. But in addition to that, Chair, I think what comes out. Oh yeah. My name is Sheila Sheikh. I'm a member of the NCOP from Limpopo Province and a member of this committee.
In good standing.
Yeah. This is an NA joke, I think. But with that being said, Chair, what I was trying to indicate, I think with regard to both the presentation by the Mayor as well as the detailed presentation, I think what comes forward, and I think which is also very positive, is the coordination and cooperation with the other spheres of government. But what didn't necessarily come out of the presentation are what are the challenges that are being experienced in terms of that kind of assistance that you would get either from a national government or provincial government. Secondly, Chair, with regard to the coordination of relief efforts, I think what comes out clearly is that coordination amongst government. What I would also like to know is coordination with the non-government sector as well, and whether there has been any challenges in this regard. And finally, I think Honorable Dutoit did cover this aspect, Chair, around the assistance from the SANDF, whether they were involved with the South African Police Services in search and rescue, but also in the other aspects, whether they assisted with delivery of relief supplies, with regard to assistance around water and purification tanks. And lastly, with regard to the engineering teams, whether they're assisting the district and this municipality. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you. Honorable Lesoma.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and good morning, colleagues and honorable members. Babuhlomoka izandla zidlula ekhanda for the precise presentation that we have received in this municipality.
Honorable Lesoma, it's me and Honorable Mobaso that knows you very well.
No, I forgot to issue. No, my apology for that. Ngumina wakaleSonga waLovely Province, ilunga leParliament National Assembly. Wakade mina kuba ngapha ngemuva. But on a lighter note, but I think I have introduced myself. Without repeating what I've said, I will take up from where I left, Chair, to say, Honorable, through your good self, Honorable Co-Chairs and Chairperson of COGTA, KZN Legislature, is that I raised that point, I wonder where does it failing us within all the municipalities that we have interacted in terms of the presentation and clearly clarity of the expectations from our side. Because the communique that was asked was uniform to everybody else. And I think probably MEC through your good self Co-Chairs, you may just pay attention to that. Notwithstanding that you've got limitation legally in terms of also directing municipalities what to do or not to do. But it would have dealt with some other gray areas that transpired in the previous days. Picking up on the points that have raised by my colleagues, Chair, is the importance of DDM. If we had an active and alive DDM, as it were, the issues of the interventions that are expected from provincial and national government would have found its expression one way or the other to our group through the office of the Co-Chairs. So, because we did have an engagement with the presidency and also COGTA at the national level. But the other third question that I had, thank you very much, Honorable MEC, you have preempted the question. Nevertheless, a sub-question of that is that there are communities that have totally lost their houses, like the one that was built here. The issue of the community social counseling, without the hard issues, but there are those soft issues that we must probably look at whether there's a need, informed by the profiling that I assume with the detailed report that it has been done, and we highly appreciate that. The fourth point, Chair, borrowing from the presentation, the Central and DOT, the MOU that has been signed, I will suggest probably ourselves, with the MEC, we pay much attention because there are legalities that may prolong the expectations as it has been presented here, and then it will also discourage the positive energy that one can see in terms of assisting our communities, the vulnerables. Chair, if you look at the part, which is my fifth point, and this I can come today, of infrastructure, you would have observed from the picture that probably, I'm using that word because I'm not an engineer, it might have also overstayed its lifespan, as it were. That's why it was easy, because you can see that the soil was a little firm on the sides, which then I'm talking to the short term, the long term, the medium term. Now I'm referring to the long term probably. We might want to look at that, noting the limited funds. The sixth point, Chair, is the issue of JoJo tanks. I appreciate and welcome that COGTA and other ratepayers have donated those JoJos. If from the experience of COVID, we deployed JoJos in schools, but we have never had a plan of filling those JoJo tanks. We have those JoJo tanks filled for day 1, day 3, and then in a week's time, then people will be frustrated and end up destroying it. If the municipality can have a closer operational plan in ever filling those JoJo tents, it will go a long way to be appreciated by our communities. The other one, which honorable, I think is honorable, my previous speakers, honorable members, the TRU's one, in terms of the costing, that's a fixed cost. We know that one. You can't go beyond what is determined by the province and national. But it doesn't take care of, Chair, I might be wrong, of the landscape, of the retaining wall and all that. And I think you need to probably, you may need to look at that and see how to factor in the assistance that you may need. Other than that, Chair, I'll leave for Honorable Gabela on the other issues that I don't want to take a part on a lighter note. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Soma. Honorable Kikaba.
No, thank you very much. We must probably also join the chorus and thank the presentation. There are just few things from my side, Chair, and the first, I'm going the member of the National Assembly. I'm a member of this committee. I'm from the Northern Cape. Chair, in the presentation, probably I would be corrected in the responses. I got a feeling that as much as there are TRUs that have been built, there are still people that are homeless. It was highlighted red, and they are still in shelters. That is a word they used for the shelters that they gave to the people. So my question is, those people, obvious, they are sharing. And I think a part that missed in our oversight was to go and see those type of shelters that were initially given to the people. How are they looking like? I think is to join the fact of the counseling with those people giving a proper counseling. And the second issue, we know that there are many NGOs that are also up and down because of this process and giving some sorts of donations or whatever they are giving to communities. In terms of this district, how is the cooperation or rather coordination of that? And as the district, have you ever received donations from the business sector? And if you did, is there a record of this is what we have received and this is what we have distributed to the needy families? The other issue, Chair, is with regards to, and now I'm specific to the shelters that we have given to people. In terms of Umsunduzi as a district, how were the schools in this district affected? To what extent? And were the plans made to transport the kids to school? And the issues of the, because I know the immediate that has been done, I don't know in terms of this district, but in this province, was to take a school to a nearer school, and that affects the issue of scholar transport, but together with the school nutrition program. How are you handling that as this district? And have you managed at least to make sure that there is no child that has been missed out of this process that is not in school? You have made sure that they have went to schools, whether you found them alternative schools or you've taken them back to the schools where they are. Yeah, I think I'm fine. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Ubaba Zuma, MM, technical team, you can decide how you want to start dealing with the questions. And even if the MBC wants to join you in one or two, it's fine.
terms of if schools were affected. What has not been captured in the report that was presented here are reports by sector. Our very detailed report, this is, it looks detailed, but it's a bit high level, the report that we presented. But a detailed report would have indicated how each sector was affected. For instance, how many schools were affected by the disaster, affected both in terms of damages, but also in terms of the disruption in relation to teaching and learning time. Because some of the schools were not, structures were not affected, but teaching and learning time was lost when those schools were not accessible because of the roads that were damaged leading to those particular schools. So schools were affected, others in terms of their physical infrastructure, others were affected because for a particular number of days, roads were not accessible. So we do have the report of that, of the sector in terms of the physical damages, but also how the road infrastructure, particularly in the rural parts of the districts, were affected in terms of the losing a day or two of teaching and learning because roads leading to those particular schools were not accessible. And I think that detailed report, which has got a specific report of the sector, education in particular, should be part of the reports that we'll email to the secretariat of the committee so that those details are there. But in relation to businesses supporting, I'm not aware of direct assistance from businesses, but in the main, NGOs, faith-based organizations did assist, and all the assistance that would have been provided by non-governmental organizations, faith-based organizations would have been properly recorded in terms of what assistance would have been given, the quantities and all that. So that would have, we do have the actual records of those. Because coordination was proper, we were able to account which NGOs assisted, which faith-based organization, all organizations that are outside government that made particular interventions. We have a record of those. Coordination also assisted in the sense that there wouldn't be duplications. There wouldn't be oversupply in one area and find that other areas are neglected. So there would have been a fair distribution of assistance from the NGOs as well, because coordination was at the right level. With regards to TRUs, the reports will indicate, for instance, the numbers of totally collapsed structures where you need TRUs, but you see a few slabs, you know, that are there at this particular stage. I think we must indicate that that's one challenge that we actually have. The process is a bit sluggish. It's not as quick as we would want it to move in terms of those TRUs coming up. Of course, part of the of the challenge in the cases where people have been displaced and they cannot be relocated to the same areas because maybe there would have been a mudslide, or the area that they were actually occupying is not suitable, for human habitation, and an alternative piece of land needed to be identified. So those processes of identifying alternate pieces of land parcels for relocation, those things as well would have stagnated the process a bit, slowed down the process in terms of the TRUs coming up. But we must also indicate that the process also of verification, because our teams as municipalities would do preliminary assessments immediately after the incidents, get the numbers, get the details of people that are affected, then collate that information. It moves through to the Provincial Disaster Management Center. It's then referred to the relevant sector departments. And ordinarily, human settlements will also want to do its own verification once it has received preliminary assessments from us. And that takes a bit of time. And that's why, therefore, that you will see these numbers being this way and the actual progress on the ground being the other way, because human settlement does its own verification, and it does take a bit of time for that particular process to actually take place. So that's one. Those are some of the issues. Issues from Honorable Lesoma. I think the issue of the TRUs we've covered, and I think she did, when she made the input, respond to the issue of the actual cost of the TRU is standardized. So it's not from this municipality to the other, that district, that local to the other. So there is a fixed amount across which is allocated to the TRU. But with regards to Jojo tanks in particular, in areas where such an intervention would have been made, that particular process, because you will deploy Jojo tanks so that people will have water storage facilities. But what complements that process is water tankering process. So water tankers will be deployed to fill those Jojo tanks. In fact, they will, when they go to a particular area, people will get water directly from the water tanker itself, from the truck, but the truck will also put water on those Jojo tanks, columns. They are ordinarily called Jojo tanks. We prefer to call them static tanks. So water tankers will also fill up those static tanks, so that even when the trucks would have left and some people would have been at work, and when they come back, they should find water on these Jojo tanks. So that is the process. So there is a clear deployment process of, and program, so to speak, of the water tankers to fill up these Jojo tanks. So which is predictable, which will be known by local councillors and the community in terms of how. But they will report also. So if the consumption has been high and whatever, that's where the water in those Jojo tanks will have been used in a particular way, and people need water. Councillors and the relevant structures would indicate to our teams, our operations teams that are there in each and every local, that will then coordinate the deployment of water tankers. We haven't had challenges around people saying, but there are these JoJo tanks, but we're not getting water because there is a clear plan in terms of the deployment of water tankers to fill those JoJo tanks. We agree with Honorable Lesom. You see, this particular disaster laid bare some of the challenges that we've always known that we have so-called aging infrastructure. And it's a matter that we are raising because we do have sector meetings with the Department of Water and Sanitation, particularly also after this disaster, that it will not do that we just fix some of the problems and not have, a long-term plan of replacing the aging infrastructure that we're having in this particular district and any other part of the province. So it's the problem that we know, it's the problem that we need to work on to mitigate also future occurrences of this nature so that we're not really caught unprepared. Because if we don't have a deliberate program, we may not have, that's why we're raising it with the Department of Water and Sanitation, because the cost of replacing the aging infrastructure far surpasses what we even get as an allocation on a year-to-year basis from the Department of Water and Sanitation. It may need a specific dispensation in terms of funding so that we can be able to deal with that as a mitigating kind of an intervention moving forward. But on the issues of psychosocial support, Honorable Lesoma and other members who may have also raised it, because it was raised by also the previous speakers. Department of Social Development is very much cooperative, particularly, let me say, in this part of the province, because I can't account for any other part. We've worked very well in terms of profiling the flood victims and having follow-up programs also in terms, and amongst those, psychosocial support so that people could get counseling and things like that. So it's something that we have been quite close to as well as the leadership to see that it actually happens, and we have seen cooperation, particularly from the side of social development. And so far, we even said, in particular, we were saying, let's just prioritize in terms of that particular intervention, because there could be a number of people that are affected, but let's prioritize those that are displaced and had to move away even from their homes and go to shelters, to community halls, because they may need immediate assistance in terms of psychosocial support. Then deploy your resources in that particular way, and I think they've cooperated quite well insofar as that is concerned. DDM, which is a question that cut across a number of inputs that have been made by honorable members. We must say that in this district, we may not be at the optimum level in terms of operating, but DDM is in operation, is in full swing in this particular district. And we must also applaud our champions that are deployed from the various spheres of government. The Deputy Minister Chikunga is quite hands-on. Here is part of our DDM meeting. In fact, when the first incidents occurred, I'm saying in terms of the recent floods in April, we convened an agent political hub meeting of the DDM. Deputy Minister Chikunga was there, Deputy MEC Ravi as the provincial sphere of government deployed to our districts in terms of DDM was there, all mayors. So I'm saying coordination from the onset through the DDM structures took shape and began to coordinate issues as they should. So I think at that particular level, that assist coordination broadly of reports, but also of interventions. Of course, there is always a room for improvement. We haven't gotten to a stage where we can actually say, no, this is now perfect, but we think we're trying to operate and operationalize that model of delivery to the best of our abilities. That talks to coordination. With regards to, I think Honorable Sheikh raised also a question around that, but let's just indicate the issues around SANDF. We haven't had much interaction with SANDF in this district. It could be because maybe at the level of the province as well, because damages are more around eThekwini. So there could have been that particular focus to say resources, let them be deployed there. There isn't much interaction, except that we got a commitment that there is a bridge that must be built where a car was washed away and 3 family members passed away, and as a result, that heroine, Sergeant Mjwaha, who was assisting in the rescue in that particular incident, also passed on. There's a bridge that needs to come up there, and we got an indication from the Department of Transport that they will be working on that project with SANDF. So, but nothing on daily operations warranted. I would even suggest that there could have been that close interaction. SAPS, yes, as I indicated, they were part of search and rescue operations that were there, and unfortunately, one of their members passed on when such an operation was actually taking place. With regards to challenges, of course, the main challenge is for instance, the pace of interventions. Pace of interventions in relation, for instance, to the road infrastructure. We must be honest, the process has been a bit sluggish. It has moved quite slowly. We understand that from the side maybe of the affected sector departments, it could be the issue of resources, it could be the issue of the processes that maybe SCM processes that needs to be done before those interventions and so on. So, but with regards to particularly the road infrastructure, we have noted that the pace is a bit slow in terms of rehabilitating the roads, particularly in the rural areas, because those roads, there are gravel roads there in the main which were washed away. So we must also say that there is a detailed sector report which indicates the road numbers, L numbers, D numbers, P numbers per local, which indicates where interventions are needed and the actual cost, but that particular process has been a bit slow. But also with regards to also human settlements, we must indicate that there also the process has been slower than what we would really want it to be. We know that there could be particular also dependencies there, availability of land where there could be relocations, but also the verification process from the side of the department takes a bit of time, and that also has got particular implications for interventions as maybe one challenge also is that in as much as the reports indicate, for instance, that there was a reprioritization of budgets in local municipalities and to an extent to the, in the district itself. But this incident, these incidents occurred obviously towards the end of the financial year. You know, towards the end of our financial year as local government. There would have then been nothing much to prioritize towards, reprioritize towards the end of the financial year. So hence, therefore, there is a call from all of us for interventions with regards to resources to flow from the other spheres of government to assist with some of the interventions that are actually required. When do we anticipate, Honorable Dutoit, to complete the program of rolling out TRUs? I think we'll respond by saying that we'll continuously interact with Human Settlement because they are leading that particular program for us. So ours as the district is coordination of all the sector departments that must intervene. Of course, as we have indicated before, we understand that there are particular dependencies. In some instances, the availability of land. In some instances, their own processes in terms of verification of our preliminary assessments, but also there could be also the issues around the processes that ought, SCM processes that ought to be followed. But we can just commit that we'll do the best we can from our side to make the necessary engagements and follow-ups at all material times with the sector departments. But what is good is that other than our own structures, DDM structures in the districts, coordination also at a provincial level is okay. We meet at various points. There is an interministerial committee that the provincial government has set up, which is chaired by the MEC for COGTA. It sits almost on a daily basis. If it skips a day, then there is something urgent that will have come up. So we interface there with Department of Human Settlement, and we think we'll be continually raising these particular issues. Whether the National Lotteries Commission has done other things other than that would have been indicated here as immediate relief, they have. I think the report would have, for instance, captured that they gave us some Jojo tanks, I think 10 Jojo tanks, part of what they did. But in one of the, because we only have one shelter in this district, and it's, I indicated this Truro Hall, which is in this municipality. They also assisted with immediate relief there in terms of food parcels, providing a stove, a fridge, a freezer, but also deployed a car that would take children to school from the shelter to their various schools. And we thought that was a very good intervention, because if children are in the shelter there, they will not be in the normal route of transport which takes them to school and all of that. For them to even deploy a vehicle that would take children to school from the shelter, we really welcomed that intervention from the National Lotteries Commission. So I'm saying those are some of the interventions that were actually made. What is the view of Honorable Dotto of the community about our work? We think we have done the best we could under circumstances, moved quite swiftly. To a large extent, we think we should have happy communities because of our swift and immediate response when these occurrences occurred. Well, if the committee would have had interactions with them, you would have even a more direct assessment because we can't assess ourselves. But we think we have done all that we could to respond with speed to their issues. We could see happy community members because the leadership across our districts, local mayors and all other leaders, and as well as provincial leaders, we really moved with speed in terms of trying to intervene when the incidents occurred. About what is outstanding, I think I would have covered it when I responded to other questions. There is outstanding work around roads infrastructure, outstanding work around human settlements in the main. We think on other things, there are, particularly with regards to immediate relief, we wouldn't really say that there are outstanding issues, but there could also be outstanding work with regards to the rehabilitation of some of the infrastructure in relation to water and sanitation infrastructure. But those are the things that are being dealt with and processed through our structures, but also through the interministerial committee where we interface with the provincial government almost on a day-to-day basis around issues of disasters. Thanks, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me take the last round so that we can get to the ground and experience what you're telling us, Mayor.
Precise, and we are all able to follow properly. There is, however, a follow-up question that one would like to ask on the burial assistance that has been given to families in distress. The slide that was projected showed that there's only one family that has been assisted by the municipality. And we can see that the family that has been assisted is of the fatality that occurred in the district. However, the other 3 or 4 that happened outside the district in eThekwini, to be precise, have not received any form of assistance. So the question is it because the eThekwini they received assistance from eThekwini, or maybe the mayor would assist us in with regards to that. The second one is relating to the social relief of distress, the food parcels to be precise. It's unfortunate, Chairperson, that we don't have the presentation in front of us, but if they could just project the slide with the social relief of distress, the first presentation that was projected, where it showed that there has only been 27 food parcels which have been distributed. And for me, it is a concern given the number or the higher number of households that have been affected, and there is only a projected number of only 27 households that have received the social relief of distress from the Department of Social Development, or SASSA. The last question, Mayor, relates to the reprioritization of the budget. Mayor indicated that they have made pleas to the higher structures, or maybe the provincial departments or national departments. Now, I want to get an understanding, Mayor, when you are making that statement, but also saying that you are working very well in the committees that you are sitting in and you are receiving assistance.
with relation to the turnaround strategy now, if you are saying that you have made, please, in relation to your immediate needs, your mid-term or your long-term needs, and in terms of the turnaround, or whether the departments are responding positively in ensuring that you are able to be assisted with your financial needs, as you had mentioned, that it's difficult to reprioritize your budget at the end of your financial term. So you don't have those financial resources. The pleas that you have made are to whom and for what, and how is the response from those that you have made the pleas to? Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Masiko. Honorable Mashiho.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning to members in the House, MEC, the Mayor, and the staff. My name, as said, is Robert Mashiho, and it's not by mistake that I'm following Masiko. At some point here in KZN, I was Elijah Ngobane staying in Sobantu. Deliberately, during the times of your middle feeds and your post office things in Sobantu, I was Ngobane. But now I'm Mashiko, that's my real surname. I don't know, Chair, whether it is deliberate that because when we started a little bit sketchy and a little bit dicey and uncomfortable about how things were happening in KZN. And as we move forward, maybe it is by your own design, things are changing to something different from what we were. And you are driving us not to have that discomfortability that we have about KZN. It is changing a bit, and yes, police are going to be chisa kahle. Yes, police are manje. Chair, I take note, Mayor, that you are saying you couldn't reprioritize your budget because it was at the end of your budget. We are sitting today with a municipality that is passing its budget today. And then this budget is passed at the time when we are in disaster. The preparation to the budget thus far could not have taken into cognizance the floods. We are expecting that you might want to influence the budget passed today to then speak to this reprioritized way of working, because in the absence of it, remember the minister did declare that there is no new money. I think the money is for out of reprioritization. I think you want, I know that the municipality, I was a councillor before, you pass your budget in June. So June is building up to it. I'm sure you can reprioritize given that fund. The second point, Chair, just to add on what Honorable Lisuma was raising, looking at the pipes that we're showing, there exists a possibility in my mind that these pipes were not necessarily damaged because of only the floods, but there were legacy problems around them. Is there a plan then that, and I hear that you are saying it's very expensive to do. I know I'm a member of Department of Water and Sanitation. So I know the difficulty of replacing a pipe, but are you taking a lift on the disaster we are in to want to repair them using us? Or do you want to have your own budget that deal with that as a day-to-day work of what you need to do? And there are some makings that, and it is a norm, I'm just overemphasizing it, that we will get the report, and the report, because it is helping, our secretariat will help us to get that point. Now, I don't want to raise that we recommend that you the DDM. The DDM is resolved, and as resolved, and I'm sure the mayor is emphasizing the point. It is going to be important because part of the work that we are here for is for us to help you to tap onto the responsibility of whatever resources that might be there, whether 1 billion or not 1 billion, but, the chair has already promised that we can make a recommendation of a better budget, only on condition that there is a proper plans. So to me, given your report that we're giving, it suggests that if you're being given a good demand-based budgeting, we might think about wanting to help. But if it is just a report that we say the need, but it is just a need that is not necessarily emphasized as something that you need to be helped with. It might be, we might be listening when we leave the door here, sit no siswile, and then what? And I think we really need to emphasize this point of, in Mlalazi, we were told that yes, they are budgeting 1.1 billion, but they need 12 billion. At least you can hear what they are saying. I think we need to hear that. But more, and above all, look, I am a little bit, as I'm saying, in this format. We were made to believe that there is a lack of, the absence of leadership in your process. You are then telling us that no, in actual fact, the MEC is chairing a committee that is sitting approximately every day or after a day or so. It's a contradiction of what we had, and I think it worries me a bit. Which one must we take moving forward? Because it gives us a bit of contradiction. And I know that the MEC wanted to answer it, but we did not necessarily allow him that. But the reality of the matter is that it gives us a contradictory process because and we did not get the mayor in eThekwini. We did not. We got a deputy mayor by design, by default. So we had already a view that there is indeed lack of leadership. But you are giving us a different story. I'm sure you need to overemphasize which one is the correct one, because we don't want to live here with the wrong understanding about yourselves. But otherwise, your report is too good. Just I'm following what Comrade Dr. was saying earlier on, that you can use it as a referral point to want to use as a good reporting processes. Thank you, Chair.
Let's hope you are not making Mayor Zuma to account for a eThekwini mayor. Honorable Zungula.
Thank you, Chair. Greetings to all honorable members and the leadership of the municipality. My name is Vuyo Zungula, also a member of the committee. My question is in relation to the long-term precautions that you are taking to avoid or to minimize the extent of the same disaster when if it would happen in future. So I wanted to find out the long-term solutions, because it's well and good to respond to the immediate problems. But I would be interested to know, for example, are you in contact with the Council of Geoscience when it comes to planning for the infrastructure, water infrastructure, geological infrastructure, to make sure that in the long term you are able to, for the long-term prospects, you are able to minimize the impact should the amount of rains happen in the future. That's all, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Mama, I like them, but I love you.
I love you, Baba. Thank you very much, my two Baba. Greetings to the MEC Babshlomunga, also the worship, the mayor, Ubaba Ungamalala. Chairperson, here in KZN, I call Ubabu Zuma no Babu MEC Babazi. So they call me Mamazi. So you must know, when you come here, you want Mamazi, the Babazis are going to tell you. And also a special, also greetings to Dr. Ngamalala. Why I'm saying that, each time when I see him saving me. When I had the accident in his ward, he was the first one to allocate me where I was. And the accident occurred at 10 a.m. and he managed to locate me at 3 p.m. It was foggy, raining, but he managed to find me. Ngiyabonga banqamalala, because I'm alive because of that. Coming to the question, I only have got one question because the other question, Umama Masiko has covered me of the DST. With your presentation, I didn't see you talking about Home Affairs, of which I would like to know the coordination with you and Home Affairs, since we know that most of the flood victims has lost their valuable documents, be your IDs, be your certificates of shadow, be your certificates of Abantwana. So I just want to know the coordination and also the relationship with the Home Affairs and the speed up process with the Home Affairs. Thank you very much, Baba.
Mama,
I love you there, Baba.
love you more. Thank you. Honorable Pungan.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. My name is Ntlanhla Hadebe. I am a stand-in member. I serve in the NCOP. Honorable Chairperson, honorable members of Parliament, the MEC, and the August House. Honorable Chair, the Mayor partly covered what I had in mind. But I will rephrase the question. My question is, are there plans in place to give psychological support specifically to kids at schools? I'm raising this point, Honorable Chairperson, because other than instilling climate change understanding when educating kids in schools, kids also need to, they also need that support to make them understand occasional fatal effects of nature. And that also requires post-traumatic support for a kid that helplessly witnessed their home destroyed by the rains. I think it's something very important because this might have an effect or an impact during the result period of a kid. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you. Honorable Baha, you are the last one.
Ngozi Sihlalo. Chair, just a quick one. For me, I think that the presentation covers almost all angles of what we're looking for. But I want to get a sense of what is it that is expected from us as we are here in terms of assisting in the process of dealing with all the challenges that we are faced with, including probably a voice on financial resources that would be required to assist you in your work of trying to rejuvenate or kind of setting up the communities back to where it was. Thank you, Chair.
Ubab Zuma. Mainly, it's about commending the good work you are doing on the ground and your understanding of your district. And there are issues that is work in progress. Beyond this interaction, we have to assist you. I'll allow you in not necessarily responding because it's more of commending the good work. That is why members are upfront to say it will be good for others to learn. And I know that MEC will be taking it to others to follow your example because that's what we expect. And sometimes an impression is created that once we have parliament, it's about fighting, and it's not about fighting, but it's about only fighting when we are fighting for a good cause to assist people on the ground that are expecting a lot from all of us, irrespective of our affiliation as different parties. But in joining them will allow you to do your parting shots in acknowledging and mapping what might assist all of us. Of course, considering what was said by Honorable Dodovo, that the model is what can work to a lot of municipalities to minimize for us being all over the show. Babzu.
Thanks, Chair. Maybe quick responses to some of the issues that were raised. I think on the last one, the reports that we have actually put together is quite clear in terms of the interventions that are actually required with regards to, in the main, financial resources. There is a particular slide that he would have put up, which is specifically around what the district requires. And we had indicated that we'll need an intervention which is around 100 million. That which relates to the powers and functions of the districts. Of course, the report in its entirety then indicates interventions per sector. And I think the relevant departments can follow those things through. But because we've got a vested interest as well in terms of those roads by DOT being rehabilitated, will continually engage around those issues. Human settlements intervening will specifically be hoping that whatever that should be coming as interventions from human settlement comes through within the shortest possible time. So, but I think I will just leave it there because it's part of the report in terms of the direct interventions relating to our own powers and functions. With regards to Home Affairs, we may have not accounted for the interventions they have made. I think if we have not done it, we may just need to update the report so that it reflects all the interventions. Those are some of the immediate interventions that we go for as part of the immediate relief, to get people who lost their identity documents, birth certificates, being linked to Home Affairs. And I think it's an exercise that we have done, which we should account for in terms of the report, if it's not part of the report. But there is a good relationship, and they are responding and intervening in time on these particular issues. Honorable Pungan, I think it's something that we need to take forward to the various structures, because our focus in the main, and I think we are learning through this interaction that we had to widen the scope a bit. The The psychosocial support we facilitated for households. And I think we do take a point that there ought to be a specific intervention going to schools. And I think we're not delegating upwards. But that's the MEC is here and coordinating in that particular structure may lead the charge also in terms of interacting with the MEC for education for that particular program to be unleashed in schools. But and I think, but it's an important point that we're taking as a point that we may not, maybe at our level, have actually taken, prioritized, so to speak. With regards to long-term precautions, one of the issues that we are, as part of the processes we're even handling at this particular time of the year, apart from adopting IDPs and budgets, well, we've also been reviewing what we refer to as the Spatial Development Framework as the district interacting with all locals. Part of that is also an interaction with the traditional leadership, because some of the areas where people are staying, they get allocated by traditional authorities in terms of where they are allocated pieces of land where they can build houses and so on. And it's a discussion that we were having also with them to say it's important that we interact on those particular issues, because we will know and understand better where people can be, be allocated pieces of land where they can build houses and so on. But if that process is handled separately from us, away from us as government, it does create challenges and so on. But also this goes with broad community education around not erecting structures along the floodplains and all of that. So that's part of the program moving forward. But we also do take note of the fact that there should be other structures that we interact with as part of long-term planning and taking long-term precautions, and I think we'll take note of that. But these are some of the things that we have been looking at, particularly issues that relates to spatial development framework, so that people understand the areas also where they cannot put up structures because of the challenges and the risks around erecting structures in those particular areas. Honorable Mashiko, of course, this municipality today, is adopting its own budget, but I'm sure we all appreciate that the budget that you are going to adopt today will kick in at the beginning of July, which is the new financial year. Of course, because all these incidents occurred during the period when we were consulting communities and doing all finalizing budgets, I am certain that all of us took into account whatever that happened in this period before we approved our budgets. But we did therefore flag, because let me put it this way. For instance, in our context, out of the allocation that we get from the national sphere of government in the form of MIG, Municipal Infrastructure Grant, as well as the WSG, the Water Services Grant, because we're a Water Services Authority, there are specific projects that we had committed to, which are multi-year projects. The allocation that you'll get, you need to put them straight into those particular projects so that you complete them in the timelines that we had actually set. We have already appointed, there are people on site around those particular projects. So we have highlighted the fact that even the allocation that we are going to get in the new financial year, and we have raised it with the minister, to say this is the kind of commitment, and here are the projects, which are multi-year projects. So there is legal space to maneuver, so to speak, and hence we've then requested that there could then be interventions specifically responding to the current challenge that we have, because you can't, it's almost impossible to reprioritize when we have committed on the multi-year projects in relation to the funding that we are even going to get as transfers from the national fiscal. So we have raised those issues with the minister, but we have also raised those issues at the level of the interministerial committee. But there are a few things that you can juggle around and accommodate in your budget, and I think Umsondus would have done it as they approve their budget today. They would have taken into account some of the issues that came as a result of the storms. Otherwise, we really want to thank the leadership for affording us the opportunity to engage. The last one, there's one that I did not attend to from Honorable Masigo, the burial assistance interventions. We must say, for all the families that were affected, whether some passed on here or they passed on at eThekwini, there were specific interventions for those families. Some were through AFBOP, because AFBOP had come forward to say they were willing to assist. Families were assisted through that program and through the Matsepe Foundation intervention. So there isn't a family where an intervention was not actually made. I think the last burial where we had 6 people from the same household, the Mdlalosen Gabashe family, which was in Sweetwaters, we had intervention from AFBOP and also the provincial government, as well as us. We made contributions, including Umsondus, as well as the National Lotteries Commission made a contribution also to that particular funeral. So I'm saying there were interventions for all the families, whether they passed on here or whether we received them from Durban, because from eThekwini, they passed on that side, but their families are this side. So interventions were made accordingly. With regards to social relief of distress, I think Honorable Masigo would have seen an intervention of food parcels or social relief from the district municipality. But SASSA and DSD made more than 27 interventions. So they made interventions on other cases. Those were just immediate cases when our teams were deployed on the ground and they immediately saw a need. That would have been those 27 cases. But SASSA and social development in the province would have made more interventions. And I think there is a slide that was beamed which indicated those particular interventions. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you.
I started with Home Affairs, so it's time of farmers.
Thank you. Colleagues, as we are aware that today it's the last day in KZN as the ad hoc committee. Now I will start with because after this we are not going to be, after the sites, we are not going to be having an arrangement like this in KZN. Others will be rushing to the airport. So we thought that it will be in order to start with the MEC for parting shots, and then from there, Honorable Frolik will present to us a way forward after this. Because after the sites, we are not going to be having a formal sitting like this one, and it will be rude to create an impression that we are just bidding some goodbye when others are rushing. So while still sitting in this arrangement, but I must indicate, MEC, that after our interaction with you yesterday and what you have done today to make sure that all relevant people are part of this meeting has addressed exactly the very same point that was raised by Honorable Mashiho, that, you know, if we're not engaging, sometimes the impression is created that we are just fighting or there's a problem. But once we come together and do as we have done now, and if we started like this, if we can sustain something like this, as we'll still be coming to KZN in future, and this other committee is with you till the 30th of November this year. And we want to unlock the challenges because we have some national ministers making some serious pronouncement about some finances available. And it's our role as a parliament, as this other committee, to make sure that, but if you are saying you are going to be giving this much to this municipality or to this province, it's just a drop in the ocean because we've got a serious sense and appreciation of the challenges on the ground. So I want to indicate that that is why people will always say, in the absence of information, sometimes perception will become a reality. And people will get out and present and distort what we are here for. But we are not even confused. And that is why right from day one, and we are not taking for granted to have the chairperson of COGTA being part of the program, because even if we're in Cape Town, we know that we do have people that can assist in making sure that some of the recommendations that will be taken forward are attended to properly. But let me give you, MEC, your parting shots, and then from there it will be my colleague, co-chair, Honorable Frolik, that will just take it to its logical conclusion. Thank you.
No, thank you again, Chair. We really appreciate your oversight because we are learning from a number of members, and when they are engaging or asking or making inputs, as what Mayor have already indicated. Some of the issues that the Mayor was referring to on how we as a provincial government and national government were supposed to provide support. As I'm standing here, I'm standing on behalf of the provincial government, and whatever that have been raised, that the provincial government must try to fast track in terms of solving. It's a matter that we are going to discuss. I hope that on Wednesday, when we are having a provincial executive council, which is known as provincial cabinet, we are going also to raise number of issues that have been raised by the honorable members. We will be happy, Chair, and the members, if you really can assist us as a provincial government now to engage the national government on the basis of giving us more budgets for disaster. We're only looking for disaster in different sectors and different and various municipalities. I'm convinced, Chair, based on the engagement with the national government, that that's why I'm appealing to the committee that national government, I don't see them giving us a budget from where we're seated in terms of our engagement. That's why yesterday when I presented that, we were told, because we have an understanding of options of budget, and the option that they might opt to implement is the one that say reprioritize your budget, which compromise even, look, as Msundo's is today passing the budget, there are things that they can't change. Remember, when you deal with the budget, today budget as a MTF, you don't only deal the budget as an annual, you also have projects that are already committed, that are on phases. Even if you reprioritize, you can't take away because they are already committed. Those are the things. Even as what Mayor raised on their engagement with the National Minister for Water to say, reprioritize the grant or budget that we are giving you. It won't be possible on the basis of it's either it's a bulk, especially for bulk services. For bulk services, you have one project, but you phase it in maybe in 2 or 3, and you will be appointing one service provider in 3 phases, be it in 3 financial years, so that we will able to complete because of the little budget or limited resources that we have. That's why we really are appeal. I know there are other forums where we engage with national government, but we are just taking this opportunity because I don't know how many times we've been meeting with National Treasurer and also National Coctor to say, we understand that at some point I even said to a forum where there was the DG of Treasurer to say, but we are quick to respond when we are told that in the aeroplane, SA, if in my challenges, you're able to take billions and you give them. But if our people, they are suffering here at the grassroots, you just fail to give us few billions. I make the example at that time when engaging on the matter of big payoff is in donor, of which is still an outcry as we speak. We've been promised that no, they have agreed, they have made mistake, they are going to unleash that budget, but till today, and those are the things. That's why I'm saying, from where I'm seated, I'm sure that we will be told that the reprioritize. I can tell you the 500 billion that was pronounced or announced that were for COVID. There's nothing to have received as departments here. And even municipalities, what we were told, reprioritize your budget. And that, what we reprioritized, it covered that 500 billion. But outside government, people, they think we've been given money, of which really nothing that there's no new money that we've received. I think those are the frustrations sometimes that we can't go out and raise it because we are a government. One of the members spoke about the DDM and trying to ensure that we implement DDM, we must try to be seen as if we are happy, even if we are not happy. Like uzobona a stepchild isekhaya uzolokhu ukhunjuza kuthiwa hayi ngakhohlwa njalo ukuthi uantu babakho akasekho, your behavior is monitored. I think ileyo problem esinayo. That's why I chair, because it's the last day of this roadshow, the ad hoc committee. Just 2 issues that I wanted to respond on that was raised, especially on the schools that have been affected through disaster from April to date. The report that we sent yesterday indicate that there are 608 schools that have been affected in KwaZulu Natal. It also gives that at Umgungundlovu we have 78 schools that have been affected, Umgungundlovu as a whole, as we are here in Umgungundlovu. Then in that 78, you have 15 schools that are major damaged. And then the other 40-something are minor damage. And in total, in terms of the costing, education, they've costed it through the engineers, and they've come to a determination that plus or minus they will need 52 million to repair, just for Umgungundlovu. I'm not talking about the whole 608 schools, just for Umgungundlovu. They will need 52 million to repair those schools. But one of the company, they have indicated that they are going to assist one of the schools that have been major damage. Okay, I'm sorry, it's DPSA. They've said, they've engaged the department. They said they are going to at least repair one school among the 15 schools that are major damaged. So you will understand the damage that really is, the challenges that we are faced with as a government. I think on the issue of a defense force, I think as I indicated yesterday, we received plus or minus 3,000 members. It was part of the report. But most of them, they were focusing at the coastal area because those are the districts that were really affected, which is the Chewini, Oku, Ilembe. That's why, and they were given a certain task, search and rescue, provide water and fix roads or any infrastructure because of the skills that they have. And we really want to, there is I'm not, I have not heard the point that was raised. It's true that we are meeting literally every day, and we receive report from different municipalities, especially district. Yabona nje bengizibuza na izolo ngithi hey ngenza iphutha ngayi Friday lapho afanele ngikhansele into yamakhosi eGoli ngoba it was going to be nice really when the committee visit the province before they even engage with the municipalities. We give them a detailed report and overview so that when you engage with municipalities, at least we have a picture of how the damage or the challenges that we are facing. I think it's my mistake. I tried to say to DTJ and HOT, can you at least give them a report? And then we're told, no, the members, they want you. I said, unfortunately, because I'm here in it's just water under the bridge. But sometimes you feel sorry. Sometimes you feel, should I split myself and how? And because even at the meeting that I was invited, really they wanted me to be part. I think, Chair, I will take the premier to the engagement and also the minister of COGTA. There are many pronouncements that have been made by national government departments. It is water and sanitation department, is finance, human settlement, social development, but lately that we have seen as a provincial and local government, I think that are outside our control. We hope and pray that at least God will at least be with us and try to send you as angels as we are here, and because I believe we are sent by God, and then you will go back and say, no, sibonile uthi emhlabeni kunjani, can you please try and wehlisa uju. Siyabonga kakhulu. Thank you.
Thanks. Colleagues, as I'm about to give my co-chair, there's a colleague of mine, Umabaso, who told me that if a man is down, you don't kick him. Yeah, that's the rule of life. So we dealt with the issue of the preparations. Our plan was to start with that presentation, MEC, and now I can assure you that on Wednesday last week, we had a planned meeting with Treasury and AG National. When the minister and DM were not available, they wanted to have a DG. We were very clear that we want to have the minister and the DG so that we can be able to engage. And that meeting was cancelled of the minister, and we engage only AG. Probably before the end of this week, we're going to have that meeting, and we'll make it known because it's not a secret, and we'll be playing our role. We've seen the situation, and we want to deal with those issues of even the issue of the billion. I'm one of those that were confused. Initially, I thought there's 1 billion in KZN, and when somebody's explaining the billion is shifting, reprioritization, but when we met the Premier, it was very clear that we received just zero. It's the issue of reprioritization. You confirmed the very same thing yesterday. So that is why this engagement will go a long way to assist, and we'll be playing our part. Thanks, we're not executive, we're a legislature, so we'll be playing our part for people, and it will be good also to get some of these statements that we might not be privy about those relevant executive members. Of course, we do have some, but it will be good to have everybody that made commitments. And in this other committee, we've got people that are belonging in different committees. Some are chairs. That is why when Mashiho was talking about the issue of aging infrastructure, I thought he was going also to tell you how he's going to assist you to fight this thing, because last year is not a secret. It's known that underspending of water and sanitation in South Africa, it's more than 2 billion. Underspending of more than 2 billion. We have allocated money as parliament, and there's underspending. How do you reconcile that? Yet you have got people that are still struggling on the ground. And Honorable Shiho, maybe that is why he was embarrassed. He said, I'm a member of the committee. He's not a member, he's the chair of that committee. He's chairing water and sanitation. So we are... No, we are not pals. Let me take this opportunity and give it to my co-chair to map the way forward.
No, thank you, Honorable Nyambi, and good morning, good afternoon now already to the honorable members and also to the political leadership of the municipality and also the MEC and support staff. I've said it earlier in the other discussions that we had. We always appreciate it when we see that the political leadership take charge of presentations that are given to us. And that is for the reason so that we can see if they internalize really the issues that the officials bring to their attention. And once again this morning, we were very capably briefed by the political leadership on what the situation is here. And Your Worship, the Mayor, the Councillor, you must please keep it up. I also want to congratulate you and the leadership here for the state of this facility that we are sitting in. From the time we walked in outside, I think it's just your ceiling in the passage that requires some attention. But we can't continuously build new things. We need to preserve and look after first what we have. And then we can add to it, because that ultimately will impact on your budgets that you are having. But Honorable MEC, I want to say you have redeemed yourself, even if you were not there for the initial briefing. You were busy with other commitments in Gauteng, so thank you very much for your time that you have spent with us yesterday, the entire day, and also today. We are in this together. I want to repeat it, we are in this together. Because our people out there don't understand this thing of the different spheres of government. They say you are a public representative and you must see to it that our needs get addressed by government. And that is the responsibility that we have. We can assure you that it's not the last time that you will see us. We'll come back here to this province, and we will build on this relationship that we have now, so that the interventions that we will engage with at a very high political level, I must say, with the minister and beyond that, to see that the natural disaster is really given the necessary attention that it is. It's a natural disaster, and it's a national disaster. Right? We cannot have business as usual and have other priorities once we've declared a disaster of this nature. Now I want to take you back to 2010 and the preparations leading up to the hosting of the FIFA World Cup in 2010. Both at legislative and at government level, we prepared and we gained experience to host the best World Cup that FIFA ever presented, and also the most lucrative to them, by the way. Why can't we do the same when there's a natural disaster that has hit our people to such an extent that this morning I see people in Tongata protesting? They are desperate. They want response. They want answers. And it puts pressure on the political leadership at different levels to respond to the situation there. We visited those areas. We started out and we went up to Eshawi, and we saw the issues that are there, the temporary housing units. We went to KwaZulu. We had a look at the damage that has been caused. We went, very importantly, because that is not mentioned too often, to the port of Durban to go and see in eThekwini, in the absence of their political leadership, the impact that the disaster had on the operations at the port of Durban. And we received a very good briefing as to what is currently the state of affairs, what are they going to do next, as well as the deadlines that they've put in for themselves. Because KwaZulu-Natal is an economic hub of the country, and especially the area around eThekwini. It is a beautiful province, the length and the breadth of it, and we need to respond with the necessary urgency to ensure that the economic potential is being restored. You cannot have an economy running on one leg only. It must be restored, because out of that will flow the necessary economic growth, as well as the different opportunities that can be created by the economy for people to be employed and to be economically active. So it is a serious situation. And we will implore that the same energy that we deployed towards hosting the FIFA 2010 World Cup and the experiences that we gained is also deployed on these matters that affect our people. It doesn't matter from which social class or strata you come, you're affected, but the most affected are the poorest of the poor. They are the ones who face the brunt of these disasters and the aftermath thereof. What we will then is, as my co-chairperson Honorable Nyambi have said, is that we're waiting just confirmation for the meeting with the Minister of Finance, because that is at the heart of the problem. We need to unpack that, and we need to get a response from the National Treasury as to the when and the how. The Honorable MEC indicated to us as to when they made the submission. The date is there. So it's not information that is not available. The provincial government has now passed it on to the national government, and we need a response. We need a rapid response as soon as possible. If your infrastructure lies dormant for a long time, it will cripple you economically, and it will have an impact on the social stability that should be there in our different communities. Our communities need to see that government is responsive to their plight. And the most basic ones are the ones that we're talking about. It's water and sanitation, it's connectivity, and ensuring that the economic recovery takes place. I also want to add that whilst there are 3 provinces that have been affected, that is KZN, northern parts of Eastern Cape, as well as the Northwest Province. This province is the one that is the most affected. Right? We agree with that. And honorable members and MEC, we have part of our program to go and visit the other areas as well. I will make towards the end, give an indication as to when that is going to happen, because we are adapting our program a bit. Yesterday, the delegation upon our return was involved in an accident. And fortunately, thank God, nobody was injured, although there's substantial damage to the vehicles that was involved with that. And also, thank you for the support and response that we've received, not only from the South African Police Services, but also from the municipal traffic services of all the municipalities where we went to. They really went out of their way to try and make the visit as efficient as possible to implement our program. So we are going to leave KwaZulu-Natal this afternoon, honorable members, after 2 site visits per group that will be taking place. I want the Secretariat just to relook the numbers in each group, because there's certain members who have not turned up. And please ensure that we do keep the attendance register updated. I don't appreciate it when members just disappear without any apology. There's an expectation from the political parties, and I'll report it to the Chief Whips Forum as well on Wednesday, that members should be here. And if for any foreseeable reason that you cannot be here, you make other arrangements, like the Honorable Schlengwa has done, right, to get another member here. But our interest is towards all our people, irrespective where they are located. And we'll have to look into that matter. Apologies at least shows that you are aware of the seriousness with which you are taking your responsibilities. There's a lot, Honorable MEC, that has been said about the political leadership in other municipalities and so forth. And I'm assured that that matter will be dealt with at the appropriate level politically, so that we don't have this type of situation and standoff that can occur. We must put the interests of our people first. So, honorable members, when we go back, and I appreciate these physical meetings, you know. Physical meetings is more productive than virtual meetings, because that is where you can freely share your information with one another. You can openly discuss. You can discuss on the sidelines. And the sooner we return to a normality as far as our work is concerned in Parliament and the legislatures, the better. Because we cannot engage our people virtually. We must actually go to them. So thank you for everyone who has come here to do exactly that. The site visits will be by 2 groups, going to a sinkhole and also to the Natal Dam in Cato Ridge, and then thereafter, Group B will do the MR551 road to Shongweni, as well as a site visit to Ward 53 and 57 of the temporary shelters or units that has been put up in the Amoti ward. We will communicate with the honorable members once we have secured a confirmation with the Minister of Finance, but that is urgent now, must take place. Next weekend's proposed visit in the draft program to the Eastern Cape is not going to take place. We discussed it because of certain challenges that are being experienced. We also need the Secretariat sufficient time, because they've been with us all along, to consult and to make the necessary arrangements. So it won't be a weekend visits any longer, it will happen during the week. We will communicate with the chief whips of the parties, but it is likely to take place next week. And then we'll go to the Eastern Cape. The Eastern Cape is telling us, even before we come there, we are still sitting with damage with tornadoes that came to hit this area a few years ago, where shelters and human settlement patterns were destroyed and disrupted. And we are still waiting for that. So we must prepare ourselves. The researchers will get the necessary information for us. And then thereafter, we'll go to the Northwest Province. The Northwest Province, it's a very specific area that we'll be going to. It won't be a 4-day visit. It's likely to be a very short visit, but we'll share the information. I'm in discussions with the members from the Northwest, and thank you, Honorable Dutwe, for your input, as well as the Honorable Dikaledi, who will guide us as to exactly what the situation is, so that when we go there, we're sure we go to the correct area, nobody gets left out, and we process then the information as we receive it. But once again, to our hosts this morning, also thank you to my sister sitting next to me, the Honorable Tele, who is the chairperson of the Standing Committee of COCTA here in the province, and also to all the officials who have made this visit possible. We really look forward in engaging with you beyond this meeting, And if there's specific information that is still required, it will be communicated through the Secretariat. But once again, thank you very much. And honorable members, those who are flying out this evening, please make sure that you get firstly to the airport safely and then thereafter go home safely. And for those who will go to attend the physical meetings of the National Assembly in Cape Town, please take care, and we will communicate once we meet again. Once again, thank you very much, Honorable MEC, as well as the local municipalities that has hosted us. Thank you.
Share that, as long as